so we have here the
It's too early.
the Barbarian, almost done. Aran has been reworking the statue and over and over and over, and we finally got to a point in which we are happy with the direction we're going. So, Aran, tell us a little bit of what needs to be done here. Of course, we all can see that this is not done yet, but so explain to us what's going on. What were the changes that you did?
Okay, so from the ground up here, the base is going to be almost completely revised. We're going to shrink the footprint as much as we can to save on cost, and then it'll be a cheaper statue, obviously. From there up, the girl is pretty much done. She's being refined a little bit after being cast in resin. So from there, the Barbarian still needs quite a bit of work, obviously. Basically, at this point, we've established the majority of the anatomy on his torso, but we still have a little bit of refining work to do, like through the whole sculpt. And obviously, you know, he's missing his hair, his necklace, all the detail on the belts. You know, we have the scabbard and the knife that still need to be added. We are
What about the head? Are you planning on doing something on the
Yeah,
head?
we need to, we're going to try to make the head a little bit bigger. We took some measurements from it, and it appears that the way it is now is actually accurate mathematically, but our gut feeling is that the head could just be a little bit bigger, and it would just match the painting. So we're going to go with our gut here. I want to shave a little bit off the back of his arm. Still feel like there's too much mass through here, the bicep to the tricep and the deltoid.
Yeah, but don't forget that the fact that his arm is compressed against the body, so it can actually increase the volume.
Right. Just going by what I see in the painting. But the biggest struggle that we had through the entire time I've been working on this, and it's where I kind of have to tip my hat to Mr. Moore, was the relationship between the head and the shoulders. Because it is a very awkward pose, and the more you study it, the more problems it presents. So, it's basically just trying to establish those relations. The composition of his head in relationship to his shoulders is a very strong, solid, like triangle shape. And it does appear that his shoulders are pretty much level across the top. But it creates problems when you start seeing it in the round. And that's why, like even Claiborne Moore had to make some compromises that, you know, I've spent a lot of time studying his piece, and we kind of, like, again, had to give him some nods and R's because he figured out some very difficult things. But I think that obviously our statue is what, like twice the size of his?
Oh, yeah.
So we had to go and really like work hard to extrapolate even more of those things from the painting to the statue, because I don't know how many of you guys have actually seen the painting or an exact replica of the painting, but it's actually very small. It's the figure is only what, like 8 inches tall, maybe.
Yeah.
And so this guy, if you could see his feet like all the way down to here, he'd be a generous quarter scale, like close to 19 inches. He's over 18 for sure. So, you know, it was a lot of problems to work through, but I think we finally established the basics of where we need to be to bring it to a completion now. So yeah, we're going to increase the size of the head, got to bring the hair down so that he drapes over his shoulders correctly, might still take a little bit of mass off the back of his arm here, because it does just look a little bit narrower in the painting. But this arm has been the bane of my existence for like a
1 year.
Like I've resculpted this arm, I don't know, 5 times now. So, but you know, you can see like the basic relationships, like the angle of this arm I think is good, the distance between the hands is good, where the hands fall in relation to the height and across the belts there, I think is finally established. The position of his head over the pit of his neck is decent. So yeah, I think at this point we can just make those final major revisions and then bring it to a conclusion. So I'm hoping that by the end of the week, this week, we'll have something really solid to show everybody.
Okay, cool. That's amazing. Can't wait to see it painted.
And I'm going to be revising all the detail on the boots. I tried some experimental stuff that didn't work, so we're gonna chuck that and start over. But
let me get a close up on that.
And obviously, when we revise the base, the position of the girl is not quite right at this point. She needs to be, her whole body needs to be turned a little bit so that she's looking, you know, the angle of her head follows his, so they're both looking at the viewer. So we gotta turn her a little bit, but the base is gonna be chucked.
Yeah, but that base is just a temporary base.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to be resculpting the whole base, and the base will definitely look smaller. The base will look smaller, and definitely the position of the body of the girl will change a little. Well, okay, that's nice work, Aran, and we're gonna keep working on the statue and see how fast we can finish this one.
Yeah.
Okay, so today is Tuesday, right? Tuesday 26th. Yeah, and I finished painting the Death Dealer tree. That's history. It's over there. We're going to take pictures of it today. Now I'm going full time on Aran. Aran number 2 is almost ready too, and I'm going to start the painting process probably, I hope tomorrow. Today I still have a few things left to do. We made small adjustments we felt necessary on the legs. You know, we like our girls to have long legs, but unfortunately Aran had such a very, very long legs, and it was a little bit too long. So we decided to shorten the legs and make it a correct anatomy. So now she has a correct proportion between the legs and the torso. But unfortunately, it means that we will need to make molds for those 2 legs here again. So I'm going to be doing this today. Once I have the molds done, I will cast 1 copy, finish it, and then the statue will be ready for painting. Everything else is already here. We have the heads cast, the torso, the base, all the weapons and boots and everything else. So we're just waiting on those 2 parts, and then Aran will be ready for painting.
What did we sell?
Don't know yet.
What?
We sold a Aryan.
One Aran, one ARH we sold. Same day, yeah, absolutely.
You know, I was thinking about the Aran pirate, and I'm not sure about how we're going to create an outfit for her, because, you know, the pirates that I'm thinking of are all the ones from like the 1800s, you know, with the tri-corner hats and stuff. But like, Aran's before that, like her, like she's kind of like more medieval, right?
Well, she's before medieval. She's BC.
Right, so it's going to be difficult coming up with a pirate outfit that works.
Well, there are few images that are from the last century, but last couple of centuries, I mean. But other images are not like the handkerchief on the head that could be used. We could use those loose shirts,
Right.
tight pants, and well, we still can do. I don't think that would be a problem.
Just put her in a sexy outfit.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Put her on a sexy outfit that has no guns,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Good enough.
Well, there were pirates at that time too.
Of course,
so-
I just don't know how to dress.
Well, we could do some research, maybe. I don't know if they're I think we could just go down there. Okay, so I have here all three parts with the wire ready for the box. Now I'm going to cut the box. So you want to glue the metal here to the bottom of the box with some super glue, and we glue it here. If we don't glue it, the piece will float once you put the silicone in the box, so it has to be very well attached to the bottom here. For us, what people like to see the most is Aran sitting on this desk working.
You guys must be bored out of your minds.
We can watch like 10 seconds because it's just like you don't move. You know, it's just like you stay in the same position for hours. Gosh. We run the movie, you know, in fast speed, and then you just move like, that's it. You know?
Well, I don't know how you sculpt. You get up and walk around and talk on the phone, like eat some dinner. How do you do?
I know what you mean, but you know.
Entertain people while you sculpt? You juggle your tools or something?
It's painful to watch, that's all. But at least, you know, we have the proof that the work is moving forward. You know, every day we see the statue getting, you know, closer and closer to be done.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
I guess I could talk, you know, like I could...
Yeah, you could entertain the viewer, you know, like narrating your work.
Right, so try to involve people in the process and
Yeah,
explain what I'm doing.
exactly. That would be nice too. It would make more.
You-
I try to talk when I'm, you know, doing something because at least for people watching, they understand what's happening. By the way, you both should be talking more, you know, because I'm the only one talking, you know.
I never know what to say.
Well-
I'm always just like, these people have to be so bored watching this. I don't know. I don't know why they're watching me anyway.
Well, I'm sure there are people enjoying it. They, you know, I have been getting some nice comments, and they are watching, and they not only are understanding all the hard work that goes into those things we do, but also they understand the process. You know? So, like, oh man, that's interesting how you do this. I got a couple of painters that said that the painting process that I'm using is similar to what they also do, and it's interesting to see my technique and this and that.
Yeah.
So it's good. I'm sure there's people that, you know, they're even they don't even care about watching, but others are enjoying. So yeah, that's the good thing. We're doing it for those who enjoy it.
All right, so I guess I could like talk a little bit about my techniques here, specifically with the Barbarian, because so much of the other work that we do now is digital. And this is kind of like, I hate to say it, but in a way it is kind of a dying art, and it has been for the last 5-6 years. People have just migrated, the studios and artists have migrated towards digital production pipelines because it is so much faster and more efficient, and the resolution of the 3D printers is so good now. And I'm talking about material jet printers, not the filament extruders. There's a huge difference between the two, and a lot of people have been, you know, they buy a $3,000 MakerBot or an Airwolf like the ones we have here, and they're disappointed with the build quality because they get those, you know, the lines from the build, and it's useless for a high-end prototype. So what we've got here is kind of like the old school method of doing things, which is what I learned at McFarlane Toys, I don't know what, 12 years ago. I started out in art school sculpting in water clay, like how Aran made the base for Aran. That's why he was always draping a towel over it at the end of the day to keep it wet, because if the water clay dries out, it cracks and falls apart. So I started out sculpting with that in art school, and then migrated towards oil-based clay for my portfolio. I had no idea that toy companies at the time, again, we're going back 12, 13 years, were using wax primarily. So once I started working at McFarlane Toys, they introduced me to this Castelline, and this is this green stuff. It is the old school McFarlane Castelline mix. If anybody's interested in the recipe, I have it somewhere. I think it's pretty much public knowledge by now. But at the time we started the Barbarian statue, we didn't have the budget to do, you know, Aran was handling, I don't know how many sculpts at once, probably 7 or 8 sculpts all at the same time, and didn't have the budget to do all the digital outputs because they're really expensive.
Hello.
I'll get back to that.
Oh, hi. Well, good. Sure, let me go downstairs because we have Fumi up here and I don't want to interfere with Fumi. Okay, go ahead.
So anyway, yeah, I decided, well, we mutually decided to approach this sculpt in wax. And at the time, I actually bought a cheap filament extruder printer to do rough outs with. So I sculpted this actually initially in ZBrush, and I bought an Airwolf filament printer, and I printed out a very rough, kind of like prototype sculpt just to make silicone waste molds of, and then I recast it in wax. And basically that's what a lot of you saw at Comic-Con last year, was pretty much my wax casting of the 3D model that I printed on the Airwolf. And I'm not going to say it was garbage, but it was pretty bad. A lot of that sculpt no longer remains in any way. When I started this sculpture, I tried to adhere as closely as possible to Frank Forzetta's painting, which of course you want to do, and I felt like I got it from one angle, and as soon as you turned the sculpt in any direction but the head-on shot that everybody knows, it completely fell apart. His rib cage was like mashed together. The deltoid and the tricep, which I'm still kind of working on, were completely like mashed into his body. It was accurate from one angle, and that was it. Everything else, every other angle was terrible, if I can be frank about it. And I'm hazing my own work here, so we have spent like literally like the last year on and off going back and forth about this sculpt, trying to get it where it needs to be to look reasonable from every angle. And that's why, you know, we have referenced Claiborne Moore's piece, because he did do a good job translating it to 3D. I think we had a lot more issues than he did, though, to confront because of the sheer size of our piece. And when you blow something up, when you take a small piece of concept work like Frank Sr.'s painting and you make it bigger, like literally ours is like almost twice the size of his painting, you exaggerate any problems that occurred in that painting, you then exaggerate when you blow it up. So there were a multitude of issues that we had to solve as the sculpture progressed, and I hope that we got it close. I feel pretty confident that right now the proportions and the position of all the limbs, again the relationship between the head and the shoulders, I think we've got it. I need to tweak a few more things, but that's where it is now, and I'm okay with it. I feel like we kind of found like a happy medium between Clay's piece and the painting, which again I felt was necessary because of the size of ours. Clay's sculpt may have been almost, I don't think it was 1-to-1 with the painting, but I want to say it was close. So anyway, here we are trying to finish this thing. I'm hoping to have it done in the next, I don't know, 5 days or so. So again, going back to the techniques here, I'm kind of rambling, but the wax that I cast this in is the McFarlane Castelline. The hands, you notice, are gray because I decided to sculpt those digitally at the last minute because we do have a nice high-end 3D printer here now. So I felt like I could get them done a lot faster, and we printed them and primed them, and I've just stuck them on here with a piece of armature wire. The sculpt obviously is cut up for molding purposes and casting, so we have a part here with like a brass peg in it, like the male peg here, the female there, and there's like, we parted it right where that armband is, around his forearm. And then we have a cut here that follows the line of the belts. It's a little bit screwed up right now because I keep pulling it apart and breaking the top of the belt off. Again, this hand, you know, printed on the Eden and primed, and then I just stuck it on there. So we have a parting line here above this wristband. The legs obviously will just go into the base. And I still have to get the necklace on there. The boots, I was trying to do a little bit more detail work because of the size of the piece. I thought, like, you know, if we blow it up and make this thing big, I can add some details in some areas that Frazetta kind of like left open to the imagination. Like, if you look at the painting, there's no description of what's going on with these boots at all. They're just like black. They're almost completely in shadow. So I just thought, oh, let's put some fur on it or something, but I don't think it worked. So I'm gonna end up taking, that was like a day of work to get that on there. I think I'm gonna just scrap it and just do like a leather boot with some, like, you know, the folded down top that all the Barbarians seem to have, and then I'll do some like heavy like leather texturing on it. You're probably wondering what I'm doing with this all the time. This is a sand pad. Auto body shops use them, but the geniuses at McFarlane, I think it was those guys anyway, they were doing it before I got there, discovered that if you heat these up over this little alcohol torch, this is just filled with denatured alcohol, it heats the pad up and it retains some heat, and when you pat it on the wax surface, it creates like a really nice, even kind of very minuscule pebbly texture wherever you hit it with the pad. So it kind of evens out the surface and it gives it like a matte appearance. And for something like this, like Rosetta's artwork, it's perfect because his work was a little bit rough. You don't want this perfectly polished, smooth surface that's gonna, when it's painted, is gonna look like a plastic, you know, PVC toy, because it just ends up looking cheap. So the point is, you give the surface of the wax this texture, so it gives it a bite, and when you paint it, it gives it a very matte appearance, and it looks professional. And that's why we did it all the time at McFarlane. Almost every single statue that we did at McFarlane, we patted down with these things. And there are different grits. I'm using a fine right now, again, because of the size of the statue, to give it even a little bit more texture. Like at McFarlane, we were always using these microfine pads, and they're really good, but they're finer. They're a finer grit than the fine pad. So if I was using the microfine, it just wouldn't give it the same texture as the fine pad. So that's what I decided on. And as far as like all the tools on my desk, man, I have like a hodgepodge of stuff. A lot of it is dental related. This is my, go-to weapon of choice, which again, the guys at McFarlane were using. I think they've kind of become industry standard. Again, it's a piece of dental equipment. It's a Curlab Ultra Waxer. This beaver tail sculpting tip is like the reason why we got these at McFarlane, because it is it's basically a very simple spade shape, but it gives you a lot of options when you sculpt, because it has like a broad, flat, like shovel shape across here with like a little bit of cavity on one side and convexity on the other, and then it tapers down to this really fine point. So it's like, and it's heated, of course, so like it's at 342 degrees, so I can move a lot of wax at once with like the shovel side of it. And then when I want to go back in and do fine detail work, like I'm doing some veins on his arm right now, and that allows me to scoop out like some wax out of this little hot plate. And so I scoop it out and just put it on here, like almost like drawing, and get some nice veins. And then you go back in, pat it down with this, even out the surface, get rid of the shine, and it looks pretty good. And again, this is like, this is nothing I invented. This is a tried and true wax sculpting method that's been in our industry for years and years and years. And I don't know, maybe McFarlane didn't invent it. I'm just giving them credit because McFarlane Toys is kind of like my alma mater as far as the collectibles world goes. I was hired there in 2003, I think, along with a couple other really talented guys, Alex Heinke and Brian Fay. Alex is at NECA now, and Brian's like lead sculptor at Blizzard. Pretty remarkable group of people that came through there. And I remember when when we were hired there, we were told by the president of McFarlane Toys, Ed Frank, who is a rad guy, that it was like sculpting boot camp. And he was right, man. We came in there with like no experience whatsoever and learned from the ground up how to make toys in a studio, and it was an amazing experience. Interestingly, again, to go back to the wax versus the traditional versus digital debate, I was at McFarlane Toys in the middle of that whole thing when it kind of exploded. Like, they brought in a digital department, they hired a bunch of digital artists, and it was rough going at first. The technology wasn't quite there to do what we wanted in the studio, and there was kind of a little bit of a rivalry at the time. And of course, like by then, Brian and I, and there were a few other guys, we felt like we were sitting pretty high and mighty, because we were sculpting a lot of the figures that people were really digging. Like my supervisor, Gene St. Jean, was there. He's a freaking rad sculptor. Michael Cassio, a lot of those guys that were kind of the old guard, they took Brian and Alex and I under their wings and showed us how to do everything. And a lot of us were really, really opposed to the digital movement when it came in, and we scoffed at it because, frankly, when they started, it was garbage. It was really bad. But we should have seen the writing on the wall that technology always moves forward. It never regresses. And unfortunately, we were all very stubborn in the sculpting department, or most of us anyway, and the whole digital thing blew up, and within like, I don't know, 3 years, we were kind of like not outdated, but getting there. So yes, at ARH Studios, this might be the last wax piece that we involve ourselves in, and it's just it's a time concern. You know, this sculpt, even if I hadn't, you know, screwed it up initially and, you know, fallen behind on it and gone through a bunch of personal stuff that I won't bore you with, this sculpt would have still taken the better part of, oh, I don't know, 2 months to do, even if I'd been working 40 or 50 hours a week. Digitally, you know, even if you had kind of dragged your feet on it and done countless revisions, doing this digitally and then printing it would have taken maybe a month, maybe, if I took a lot of coffee breaks. So, and I know like there are some people that still kind of pay attention to that whole digital traditional controversy, and I was part of it. You know, again, going back to McFarlane, I was super stubborn about it. I put my blinders on and just thought, oh, there's no way a printer will ever be able to do what a human hand can do. And that's true, because the truth is, when you're sculpting digitally, which I'm sure you've seen by now, you know, there are so many people that think you just draw a figure onto the screen and the printer just does the work for you. That's a bunch of crap. Like, that's absolutely untrue. If you want to understand how difficult digital modeling still is, download Sculptress. It's a free 3D modeling program that's very organic, and it's produced by the guys at Pixelogic, I think. And try to sculpt a human portrait or a hand, and you'll see how you still need to understand traditional sculpting to do a good sculpt in ZBrush. All the guys that downplay it and say it's, you know, no good, they're being stubborn, frankly. And I you know, again, I guess I can relate to it because I was there at one point, but the whole digital modeling world has blown up so much since then, and there's so much information about it on the internet, and there's free tutorials you can watch on YouTube. In fact, when I got laid off from McFarlane, I went home and I started learning ZBrush, and the way I learned was by watching YouTube videos. I was so desperate for money, I was so hard up for cash that I couldn't even afford to buy tutorials. So, you know, at the time, we're going back like, I don't know, 6 years now. I just, you know, there were more and more people posting videos on YouTube, and I just watched every one of them that I could. And, you know, within like 3 months maybe of struggling at it, I started to get up to speed. And Aran was actually the first guy that offered me a sculpting gig. And it was the Minotaur. That was the first professional sculpt that I did in ZBrush, start to finish. And, you know, I was pretty proud of it. I've come a long way since then. So has Aran, so has this company, so has every other artist that's been working in ZBrush. But at the time, it was a personal breakthrough for me, and I kind of never looked back. At the time, I was sculpting the Death Dealer for Aran, and it was a decent success for us at Comic-Con, and I was keeping Aran up to date about my personal life, and he knew what was going on. So when Comic-Con rolled around, I told him I wanted to leave New Jersey, and he offered me a job, and here I am, still working on the Barbarian. But we're getting there. So anyway, yep, dental tools, a Curlab waxer, a hot plate for your wax. I got this alcohol torch, and I have this one, which is kind of magical. It's basically like a tiny little blowtorch. So you light it with your other alcohol torch, and it creates an almost invisible blue flame coming out of the top. But this thing is plastic, and when you squeeze it, it shoots a little jet of air out of the top, and it just directs the flame onto the sculpt, and it smooths and evens the surface out. And it also heats up, if you want to, you can heat up larger areas of wax so that you can carve them away with your sculpting tools, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing later today on the side of his arm. When I've got to take some mass off of the back of it, I'll just hit it with this torch, heat up like a big, a decent size area, like inch by 2 inches or so, and then I come in with this the world's most old school sculpting tool, a rake. Yep, a wooden handled steel rake. And this is like, I don't even know how far back this goes in history, but still use them. It's hard, you can't, it's almost useless when the wax is at room temperature, it cools off. You can't really do much with it. But when the wax is hot, you heat it up with this, and then you can carve like big areas all at once with this thing. It's cool. So, I don't know. That's pretty much it. I rambled enough. I gotta get back to work because I distracted myself. I'm sure Spencer's sick of listening to me too. He's heard all this crap.
Hey guys, so what we're doing today is getting the Death Dealer 3 ready to be sent to the factory. So we're boxing up the pieces and wrapping them in bubble wrap so that they don't arrive broken. And it's the master painted version that we're sending. So yeah.
here I have 3 boxes that I made for the Aran parts that I'm going to make new molds for. And what we need to do now is seal those boxes with hot glue as soon as the hot gun warms up. So I'm done gluing the boxes here. Put some hot glue around the boxes. And as soon as the glue cools off, I'm going to be pouring the silicone and putting the pressure pot. And then tomorrow, once the silicone is hard, we can open and cast those parts, and then we'll be ready for painting Aran too. That's it. So now let's put the silicone inside the molds here. So today is the 26th, Alex will be here on the 28th, and then he's going to be sleeping in your house, right, Spencer?
Yeah, right. Alex will be at the studio getting everything done.
Spencer, you're picking him up at the airport, right? And then taking him to your house. Well, that's what you promised, man. You said, no, let me take care of Alex. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah. The old
Yeah. Concrete shoes.
Apparently the idea of Alex with pom-poms is quite popular for Comic-Con.
Yeah, you can do a cosplay cheerleader.
One of the guys on Facebook said that it was hilarious what we said about the pom-poms.
Yeah, well, Alex can be our booth babe.
Poor guy.
The
we're gonna give him the chance to answer us back, you know, when he's here. Show some work.
Yeah.
Have to prove us wrong when he comes over.
Yeah, to prove us wrong.
Yeah, show us all the hard work you've been doing. Instead of just giving us more work to do.
Yeah.
Fix my statue. Make a bunch of extra figures for my friends.
Gosh.
Hey, with the printer MIA, did you got like extra time today, right?
Yeah, right. Why? What's up?
I feel maybe you could choose some pointers on that sculpting program.
YouTube.
YouTube. That's how you learned, right? How'd your friend Steve learn?
YouTube.
YouTube. What did we do before YouTube, man? Right before YouTube and the
You're asking him how he learned to do ZBrush, right? Just like me. I learned at YouTube, went with YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, and we have to be glad and grateful to those guys that take their time to post those tutorials for free.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have learned to sculpt anything in ZBrush.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy. It's a battle.
That's why I think you know, I don't mind showing people, you know, the process of what we do here and giving them tips and etc. Because, you know, we share. You know, I learned a bunch of things for free too.
Pay it forward.
Is it the company, Spencer? Excuse me, what?
How late are you planning on staying tonight?
Until 10. 9:30. 9. Well, 10. Yeah.
Late.
Well, tell them that I'll be here probably longer than they are willing to come here.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll be on the way so you can jump to the next job.
Okay.
He'll be home watching Netflix and we'll be at the studio.
Okay, man. That's good news. So I poured the silicone in here now. We're gonna put it in the pressure pot. So this is done for now. Just going to wait for the silicone to harden, and then tomorrow morning when we get to the studio I can open this, get the molds out, cut, and then we can start casting the missing parts for Aran. So while we're waiting for the silicone molds to harden, I'm going to be giving here the final sanding on Aran parts I already have cast, and getting those parts here ready for painting. This what I'm giving here is more like a cleaning than sanding, because I have been handling this piece for some time now and got a little dirty, you know. But I'm just cleaning it up, and it will be ready for painting. I have started the painting process for Aran. Even though we're still making molds for the legs on this statue, this is already assembled and ready for painting. And in this case, it doesn't actually matter if her legs are shorter or longer, because this is just the master painting for the factory. So the factory will use this statue only to see the colors. So they won't be reproducing the statues out of this statue. They will just use it as a painting reference. So actually it does not matter if the legs are shortened or longer. So by the end of the day tomorrow, I will probably have the other second Aran ready, and with the right size for the legs, and that one we will have at the Comic-Con. That one we use for pictures and for promotional images and etc. So, but I just wanted to show you guys this one here that is already primed and ready to start painting. Aran. Oops. As you can see, the face is always hidden by shadows. That's the idea. That's why she has the hood. The breast covers are removable, as always. We are going to have to paint that separate. And the base here, we have the 3 skulls that are actually heads. They are rotting, and so we see there some eyeballs falling out of the skull, and we have some hair, some flesh, and we will have the crow that's standing on top of it. I didn't put the crow yet, I forgot about it, I'm going to do it. And then she is holding another head with her left hand, and in her right hand she has the sword. We have made a small change on her outfit, especially on the on the skirt part. So that's how she's the outfit she's going to be wearing on issue number 4, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, issue number 4 of the comic book. It's a graphic novel with 5 parts, and the number 4, she goes in a cool adventure on the Amazon island, and then the Amazons give her this new costume. It's a very cool story, and she's an adventurer. So you guys will get to know that better once we have the comic book ready. So yeah, for now I'm just giving you guys a quick glimpse of how beautiful she looks. Of course, we still have the cape that she is wearing. You know, that's why she has the hood on, because she's wearing the cape. But one of the things we will do for the EX edition is to sell Aran with an alternate head. You know, it would be the EX version, and that head, there will be no hood, so you can display her without the cape and without the hood. So we'll have a head with the hair loose, and so you will put the missing shoulder pads here on her, and so you can display it with the cape and the hood, or without the cape and without the hood. Also, we have a switch hand weapon, so she can be holding the axe, or she can be holding the sword. And also, if you prefer, you can also display her without the head. You know, the head that she's holding here, we are going to give, but that's going to be in all statues. It doesn't matter if the regular edition or if the AX edition, they will all have a second glove, and the second glove will not be holding the head, just in case you prefer to display her without the head. So here's the turnaround of the statue. As you can see, her costume has changed from the previous statue. So although it is the same character, she is wearing a different outfit. So, you know, once you display both together, you will have the statue. The first statue is the costume that she starts with in the graphic novel, and on issue 4, she'll be wearing this outfit here. We have a surprise for the Comic-Con that I'm sure you guys will like it, about Aran, but we're not going to disclose that surprise at this point yet. So here it is, Aran ready for painting, and we're going to be following the painting process in the next few days, just like what we did with Death Dealer 3. You guys will be also watching me painting and showing you guys my process for painting the Aran. It's going to be cool, and I'm really looking forward to paint this statue. It's my own creation. Aran is a character that I created last year, and for the comic books and for the statues, and I'm really looking forward to get this one painted too. Okay, so we show more later. So yeah, we just ran out of gloves. We gotta buy more gloves. So here's the thing. We have here Aran's cape ready for the silicone. We prepared the base with the clay, like I've been showing you guys the last couple of days. And then after we finished with the clay, Spencer here did this the box around, you know, those walls here with foam board. And now that we have the cape in here, totally enclosed by the foam board, we're going to pour the silicone to make a two-side molds like we did for the Barbarian girl. So not sure if I showed that in the movies already, but because I remember that when we started I guess already casting the Barbarian girl thing. So it's basically the same thing we did for the base, for Aran base. We do several layers of silicone. We start with a very thin layer that's very runny, and then we start thickening up the silicone, and so by the third layer we add that bunch of powder that we did, and then we get that thick layer. So we're going to show the process again. It's boring, but definitely if you guys haven't seen it, you guys will see it this time. So the first thing we start is pouring a little bit of silicone on the bucket there, like Spencer. Let me see, I think there's way too much here for the first layer, so probably half of this is all we need. Yeah, because the first layer has to be very little silicone, so the air bubbles can just rise to the top of the silicone and then you know, not be on the silicone. So if you put a thick layer, not every single air bubble will rise to the top and will be trapped inside. So we want a very, very thin layer of silicone for the first layer. So yeah, for the size of the mold, I think that's it. We need more gloves. We ran out of gloves. Okay, let me see if you get the collar down on your own. Mix it. So you like the collar? Do you like the collar?
No.
Since we're not going to be doing it today, we're going to do it tomorrow, so it could take a little longer. So the collar is perfect. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to need it until tomorrow. So yeah. If we want it in a couple hours, maybe a little bit darker, but since we don't have hurry, we're not in a hurry for this. So yeah, that's it.
Is this going to be a brush on?
Yes. So where's the brush? Here. Here's the brush. Now, before you start pouring, make sure that with the spoon you scrape the sides up there and mix the bottom. I'm sure there is too. on the silicone that was not mixed yet. Let's see if I can show with the camera closer. So Spencer is mixing the silicone with the catalyst or the hardener. What the silicone, bucket says over there is that you have to mix a mix ratio of 10% of catalyst for the silicone. So by weight. So if you have a pound of silicone, then 10% is the amount of catalyst you add. But here we do a little bit different. We do it by color. We pretty much, after doing this for so many years, we know exactly how the color of the silicone will look like, and we just dump enough silicone to get that color we want, depending on how fast we want the silicone to harden. It's like a well-educated guess, because I've done this so many times. So I actually put a lot more silicone than recommended, so it actually hardens a lot faster. And in terms of result, it makes no difference. The silicone is as good as if it takes 24 hours to harden, if it hardens in 2 hours. So it's just a tip that you can increase the amount of catalyst if you want with no side effects. Just gonna get it done faster. So first he's dumping the silicone on top of the cape over there, and then we're gonna be brushing it on, spreading the silicone all over the mold. Yeah, I have been teaching Spencer to do this for a few weeks now, and he's learning fast. Pretty soon he's going to be doing it without even me looking at it, That's the idea. I need some help. I can't keep doing everything myself. So now we get the brush. The brush is right there. And he's going to be brushing the silicone on top of the mold and putting pressure on the brush to make sure that the silicone goes in all the crevices of the cape. Like you can tap the brush on that, yeah, like that. It's a little harder. Make sure that silicone will go in all the crevices. Yeah, so now as we can see, we have covered the whole surface of the mold. He has spread the silicone around with the brush, making sure that he had the silicone going inside all the crevices and texture of the cape. And now we just need to wait for it to harden, and then we apply a second layer. Okay, so it's 9:30 right now, and we are about to. It is. Time flies, man. So it's 9:30. We're about to, to call it a day for now. And Aran is still working on the Barbarian.
I haven't moved.
Yeah, he hasn't stopped.
I got 2 cups of coffee today. Other than that, I haven't moved.
Yeah, Aran's still working on that. He's a slow poke. So yeah, as soon as he finishes there, he thinks that he's done, and then we go home, So I'm done for today. I'm just waiting for him to go home.
Yeah, I'm the one that holds everything up.
I'm just gonna sit here and watch him work. think that's good. Looks more like the painting.
Yeah, yep. I agree.
So, where did you buy that?
This?
Yeah.
This is a tool that my dad made out of a welding rod
Really?
that he hammered out the flat ends and then just sanded them down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. It was too good to be something that you had to purchase.
Yeah.
I was asking, well, where did you get that?
Yeah, this is a real sculptor's tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Made by a sculptor
Uh-huh.
for sculpting.
Yeah. That's why I was, curious to know.
Yeah, actually, this was one of the tools that my dad gave to me before I left for McFarlane Toys. So this is like an inherited thing.
Oh, cool.
Still in use. Until this sculpt is over, and then we'll never do another wax sculpt, right?
No, because when I look at that tool, I immediately see perfect tool for sculpting
Yeah.
that we can't find when we try to buy those
That's
dental
right.
tools.
Yeah, you get stuff like this.
Yeah,
Like
crappy stuff.
what good is this?
Yeah.
I mean, I use it for some things, but like, yeah, and you make all kinds of stuff. Like this is I was talking earlier today about this rake, which is useful for carving away like large areas of mass, but this one's really good. It's basically just a brass tube with guitar string, like a low E string.
Okay.
So you heat this up in your alcohol torch, and if you want to refine smaller areas and blend things together, it works extremely well. Again, this is not a tool you could find at a Utrecht or an art supply store.
Yeah.
Gotta make it.
Yeah.
If you want it done right, you do it yourself.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I had a very, very, very good set of tools before the fire in my house.
Yeah.
And man, after that, I never actually got good tools anymore. I don't know if I but I miss the tools I lost there. I haven't been able to replace them. What I have now is some crappy dental tools that you buy on Amazon.com, and that's it. I haven't actually never got to get the good tools again.
Yeah. And for anyone who's listening, when he said that he lost everything in a fire, we're going to bring that back up one day. And we're going to sit down and have an interview with Aran. Because one day they're going to make a movie about this guy.
Yeah, nah, I don't think that would be even more boring than the movies we're making at this
Well, I
point.
was impressed by the stories. He's been through a lot to get where he is.
Wow.
And one day you're all going to find out about it. Well, either you'll have to tell them the stories or I will.
Well, we can do something maybe. But seriously, when I lost those tools, I kind of got so disappointed, that with the fact that those were unreplaceable. That's the kind of stuff you have there that if you lose, you can't replace.
That's right.
I had something similar. I even had some of the tools that I had not made from scratch, but I had altered them in a way to suit my needs more. I had shaped them on the drill, and then when I lost them, I'd say, well,
almost every one of these tools, like these generic kind of like sculpting tools,
they are
from the
customized,
dentist,
right?
Yeah, they've all been modified, like flattened out and sharpened in some way.
Yeah. I've done that too.
Yeah, I guess like the dental tools that they make are good for sculpting teeth, but I don't know how.
I like this hand. I think that if you apply maybe a little bit of texturing, I think you've done this already, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. You can't tell that it's not wax.
Right. We'll get it blended together so that it'll be seamless.
Barbarian is coming to a conclusion.
Finally.
That's amazing.
And I personally apologize for the wait.
1 year. Aran has been working on this Barbarian for 1 year.
I should have done it right.
It's a long journey to look at something, you know.
Should have done it right the first time, like your mom would say, right?
Well, but we all know, we that are, you know, we know the inside story of this statue. We know everything that you went through with that, so we understand what happened, you know. But also it wasn't an easy statue to get done anyway. You know, those paintings, the Frazetta paintings, are very tricky, and there was so far not all the statues we did were very difficult.
Yeah.
The Atlantis, you know, we had to make quite a few changes.
Right.
And even the Huntress also, we had to make some changes because the 2D image does not translate to the sculpture, you know, the way we think it would.
Right.
And I think that if I could go back in time now, back 2 years ago, I would have done everything digital.
Yeah.
You know? Because digital, if we make a mistake, we go back and change. Like we did Saturday with the horns.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, those horns aren't good. Let's go change. And then we went back to the computer. It took like 5 minutes, and we got the horns back, you know, done correctly.
Yeah.
So it's, and then, you know, if you break something or if you lose something, you just go and print again.
Yeah.
So, man, you know, I think we're never going to be doing another hand sculpting again.
Yeah.
If we can.
Yeah, I was talking about that this morning. It's the efficiency of digital modeling that has changed the whole industry. That you just, this stuff is great. Like I was actually gonna say, the one thing that you still, like, you can still get textures sculpting by hand that are difficult to duplicate digitally, and I think sometimes you tend to get a little bit lazy sculpting digitally because of the symmetry stuff. But if you can break those habits and really, you know, work as hard as you do on a digital project as you do on a traditional one, you just can't beat it.
I agree. Did you see the amount of wax I bought that we're never probably gonna use? They're still on our shelf. A ton of CX5. Man, I bought that wax. I said, okay, I'm going to be sculpting with this wax now because this is good material, and I haven't used it a single time yet. It's right there, you know.
The CX5, it's good stuff. I mean, I made the adjustments to the Death Dealer EX head. Like when I sculpted the new helmet, I used the CX5, and it's good. But again, like, it takes forever. It's so time consuming. Yeah. Little sculpt, and that's why over and over again you see that the best guys that sculpt digitally have a traditional sculpting background, because they know that for a statue to look natural, you need to break up the symmetry. You can't spray a generic texture on something and expect it to look good or natural. You have to go back, even if you apply a texture to it, you have to go back in and try to break it up and make it look natural.
Well, that I agree. You know, we don't want a fake looking, you know, sculpture, because we can definitely tell that when the digital is overdone, you know, and it looks artificial.
That's what
that I agree with you. Yeah.
So the digital stuff, it does allow you to combine the best of both worlds, because you can sculpt quickly and efficiently, and if you're sculpting armor or something that demands symmetry, you can do it very quickly and efficiently, and then if you need to add asymmetrical detail, you go back in and do it, and it is very similar to sculpting by hand.
Yeah. You see how we changed the Poseidon?
Yeah.
We had the legs, you know, where the right leg was bent and the left leg was straight. Yeah. Then we say, oh, you know what? It would be better if there was the opposite. Right. Then we cut it in half, and then we just, you know, mirror the leg by, you know, and that's it. It took you like what, 5 minutes to get that leg switched?
There is more to it than that, because you have to go back in and adjust the anatomy. You can't just. I think people need to be clear about that. That there's a lot of misconception about digital modeling, and it's something I was talking about earlier. That people have this impression. People that have not sculpted have this impression that you just open the program and through a series of like arbitrary movements you just create this sculpture and then the printer does all the work for you. But people really think that.
Oh yeah.
So what you need to understand is that no, like you sculpt. You literally sculpt. You're just doing it on a computer screen. It's nothing more than a tool. So, it's like all the outrage about digital photography when that started. Like, oh, we're not going to use dark rooms anymore, blah, blah, blah. Well, you still have to stand behind the camera and take the picture. Mm-hmm. The camera doesn't do that work for you. Yeah. So, the sculpting digitally, yes, like ZBrush offers shortcuts, but you are still responsible for creating a good or bad sculpture.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but the time that would have taken me to change the legs on that Poseidon, if I was going to do it by hand,
hours and
it would have to just resculpt both legs from scratch.
Yes.
So that's one of the great advantages of doing it digital. Okay, I think my movie there finished processing, so I'm gonna upload to YouTube. Wow, it's 81 degrees in here right now.
Yep.
It's really stuffy and hot.